Dynasty tight end rankings. We are ranking the top 24 tight ends, according to my rankings, into 7 tiers. And we're just going to jump right into it, guys. Only 24 tight ends. You know, the tight end position, a little more shallow, gets a little rough as you progress and move along. So we're going to start off here. Again, we got 7 tiers, 24 tight ends. And we're starting off, as always, with tier 1. My tier 1 tight ends include 3 tight ends, actually. Obviously, everyone's favorite, Sam Laporta. I think he's the tight end 1 right now. And that makes sense. He had an amazing rookie year. Really maybe the best rookie year for a tight end that we've ever seen. You know, Mike Ditka, I know he had an amazing year, but most of us weren't alive at that time. Kyle Pitts had 1,000 yards, but only 1 touchdown, whereas Laporta put up 86 catches, almost 900 yards and 10 touchdowns. Really, really impressive. Part of a good offense. Probably is the second most targeted player on the team, most likely. So can't deny it. Trey McBride is another player I am putting into tier 1. I wouldn't even argue with anyone that wants to take McBride over Laporta. Now, you know, again, they're in the same tier, so I'm not going to argue hard for one over the other one. I might lean McBride. And also, if I can do a trade down at all, like if I can go from Laporta to McBride and get something, or vice versa, from McBride to Laporta and get something on top, I'm going to do that every 10 times out of 10, right? But you look at Trey McBride's numbers in he had 81 catches, 825 yards. Now, only 3 touchdowns, but he also did that essentially not really playing much to start the year. He kind of did that from like I'd say about week 6 onwards, where he really started to play, which is really impressive. So, it'll be interesting to see how those two. It'll be interesting to see who's the tight end 1 next year, and how those two kind of compete against each other over the next couple of years. And then my last tier 1, I'm still putting Kelce in tier 1. I know a lot of people are going to argue, you know, he's old, right? He's old. He's 34. He's going to be 35 this year. There's no signs of Kelce slowing down. Now, they may use him a little bit less, like they kind of rumored to do last year, you know, give him more breaks and things like that. He still put up 93 catches and 984 yards. Like, the dude is awesome. He just, I think he's going to be there 2 more years, right? He just signed a contract extension. I'm going to take 2 years of Kelce over almost any other tight end, in my opinion. 2 years of Kelce over almost any other tight end. Like, we know what we're going to get with Kelce. We got the potential for over 1,000 yards and 100 catches. So, we saw his playoffs. Doesn't seem like he's slowing down that much. So I still have Kelce as the tight end 1. Tier 2, or sorry, in tier 1. Not necessarily tight end 1. Tier 2, I have 3 guys as well. I'm going to put Mark Andrews still in tier 2. Again, I know a lot of people may disagree with this, but the fact of the matter is, if you just look at over the last couple of years, obviously Mark Andrews had a monster year in 2021. He was tight end 1. He averaged almost 15. He averaged over 14 and a half PPR points that year, and was awesome. 2022, I believe he was hurt a bit. He missed like a game, left a couple games early. He still averaged 10.3 points, was tight end 4. And again, there was a couple games where he left early, or he just wasn't really involved. Like, he had a couple of 0-point games essentially that year. And then you look at last year. Once again, he missed the last 6 weeks of the season. But if you look at his per game average up until that point, he was the tight end 4, and he was only 0.2 points per game behind Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta and Travis Kelce averaged 11.5 half PPR points, Hawkinson 11.4, and then Mark Andrews 11.3. So he's still an elite tight end. He's the only player that we've really see put up a super big difference-making tight end 1 season besides Kelce. Even Laporta last year, he was tight end 1. It was 11.5 points per game. It wasn't Travis Kelce tight end 1 season, 15 points per game, or Mark Andrews a couple years ago at 14.5. So still think he has that potential. So I'm still putting him in tier 2. I'm also still putting Kyle Pitts in tier 2. To me, these are all guys that I think could have the difference making seasons. The tight end one seasons where they're putting up 13 or 14 plus half PPR points. I still think Kyle Pitts is capable of that. One of my favorite stats to say, or whatever you want to bring up, career catches before the age of 24. Kyle Pitts, career catches before the age of 24, 149. Travis Kelce, career catches before the age of 24, 0. That just shows you how crazy it was, how young Kyle Pitts was. He's still younger than Dalton Kincaid and a couple other, young guys. So Kyle Pitts is still younger than them. So I still think he has tight end overall number one potential. And I'm going to put Brock Bowers in this list. We may be a little bit disappointed year one, possibly disappointed year one. I just think even though he's maybe not in the best situation, the Raiders wasn't our number one landing spot for him. We wanted to see him like on the Colts or the Chargers or the Bengals. I think talent's going to win out. He could easily be the number one most targeted player in 2025 for that team. Devontae Adams is getting up there in age. I think his contract's basically done after this season. So I still think talent wins out, and I still think Brock Bowers, he still could get to that tier one level pretty easily, in my opinion. Those are my three guys in tier one. Dalton Kincaid is going to start off tier 3 here. Again, guys that I still really like. These are guys that I think could finish as top 3 tight ends. I don't know how much of a difference-making season they can have. Again, when I say difference-making, I mean guys that can have the Kelce, Mark Andrews type of year, right? Again, Sam Laporta was great last year, amazing as a rookie. His tight end 1 season was not a difference-making in terms of the difference between tight end 1 and tight end 2. Actually, they averaged the same amount of points in half PPR, tight end 1 and tight end 2. So, can they get to that 15 threshold, 14 plus? I don't know. With these guys, they can definitely be top 3. I can see them having really good years. So Dalton Kincaid's in there. He could be the most targeted player on Buffalo, and I wouldn't be surprised, which is what we're looking for. Funny enough, I think he was the 7th most targeted or 8th most targeted tight end last year, which kind of goes by the wayside a little bit. Didn't have an amazing rookie year, but it was really, really good. If it wasn't for like Laporta, we would say, wow, Dalton Kincaid, over 70 catches and over 650 yards. That's an amazing rookie year for a tight end. That's a really good rookie year. So interested to see. He could easily move into tier 2 or even tier 1, right? This is an ever-changing list. But as of right now, I'm going to put him at tier 3. I'm also going to put TJ Hawkinson in tier 3. I know he's coming off a major injury, but if we're thinking a little bit more long-term with Dynasty, TJ Hawkinson he'll be 27, which is still young for a tight end, in my opinion. You just look at the numbers that TJ Hawkinson has been putting up over the last several years. Not many tight ends can get there. You look at 2022, he had 86 catches, 915 yards, 6 touchdowns. 2023, 95 catches, 960 yards, 5 touchdowns. Now, you can say, well, new quarterback, Kirk Cousins not there. And yeah, those are all fair points, but I still think Hawkinson is a difference-making tight end who can be a top 3 tight end. We'll see how he comes off that major injury, but I'm a little bit less worried about it with tight ends than I am with other positions. And then I still have one more guy in tier 4, and that's George Kittle. Again, another guy that everyone's going to say, well, look, he's old. And yeah, he is getting up there in age. He'll be 31 in the middle of the season, week 5 or 6 of the season, he'll be 31 years old. But just go back and look at George Kittle since 2020, I believe, maybe 2021. Since 2019, he had one of his big years. 2019, let's go all the way back to 2018, actually. 2018, George Kittle, the tight end 3 in half PPR. 2019, the tight end 2. 2020, I think he missed some time. He was like tight end like 15 or 19 or something. 2021, tight end 4. 2022, tight end 3. 2023, tight end 5. He's literally been a top 5 tight end every year except for one since 2018. So I don't see that stopping. I really don't see that stopping. Even on an offense that has a bunch of pass catchers in San Francisco, he can bust off a 50-yard catch and run, which is what you need when you're maybe not going to get a whole lot of volume. So, putting George Kittle as like a top 5 tight end is almost a guarantee at this point. So I'm going to keep him in tier 3. Then we get into the tier 4 guys. The tier 4 guys are solid tight ends. Still difference-making tight ends in that, they're not just the generic 50, 60 catch, 500-600 yard, 5-6 touchdown guy. They can be a little bit more than that, right? They can be a little bit more than that. Guys like David Njoku are on my list here. He finally broke out. Now, I'm a little bit more worried about this one than any of these other guys in this tier list, just because it was a year 7 breakout for Njoku. Before last year, we never saw Njoku put up more than 60 catches, 650 yards, or more than 4 touchdowns. So if he goes back to, and all that, most of that was because of Joe Flacco. So if he goes back to pre-2023, David Njoku, he's going to fall off this tier pretty hard. But I hope the Browns kind of look at it and be like, hey, look at the talent we have here. Look at the freaking talent we have. He's still, only 28 years old, even though he's been this will be his 8th year in the league. So he's still only 28. Well, he'll be 28 to start the year. So I'll put Njoku here in tier 4. He can have a difference-making top 5 season. Is it likely? No. But does he have a chance? Yes. All these guys to me have a chance at putting up a top 5 to 7 tight end season. These are kind of the last guys, in my opinion, that can do it. Evan Ingram, we just look at his numbers with Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville. The guy has had 114 catches last year. Now, if he can be a little bit more efficient in terms of his average, if he can get to closer to 10 yards, and even if he drops down to 90 catches, he's going to have a little bit more efficient year, or 95 catches or something. Touchdowns are not his thing. I think we have history of that now. Again, we have 7 seasons of Evan Ingram, and he hasn't had more than 6 touchdowns. And that was his rookie year, right? He has 1 season of only 5 or more touchdowns. That was his rookie year. So I don't think touchdowns are his thing, but he's going to get volume in this offense. Just think about who they have. They have Christian Kirk, okay? They have guys like Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis, who Gabe Davis is not a target hog. Brian Thomas, I don't think, is going to be year 1. So Evan Ingram's going to be there. He's going to catch a bunch of passes, potentially be the most second most targeted player on this team, maybe even number 1. There's a chance, outside chance. So that's just the fact of the matter for Evan Ingram. 2 more guys in this list. Jake Ferguson, I'll put in here. Again, not as confident as I am with these other, maybe with like an Evan Ingram or this other guy I'm going to mention. But again, the fact is he put up over 750 yards. He had 5 touchdowns. He was one of the top most targeted players in the red zone last year. Only turned into 5 touchdowns, which I thought he had a little bit more. But this has a lot to do with him being tied to Dallas and Dak. And every year, whether it's Jason Witten or Dalton Schultz or now Jake Ferguson, the tight end for the Cowboys puts up a solid year, puts up a top 10, top 12 year, right? Almost every year. He was tight end 8 last year. Now, he wasn't a big, huge difference maker, only averaged 8.3 half PPR points per game. But I think it's pretty safe to mark him down as a top 10 to 12 tight end this year. Because he's in the Cowboys offense with Dak. And they didn't really do anything to add weapons to that team. So, he could once again be the second most targeted player on the team. And then the last one in this tier list that I have is Dallas Goedert, actually. I feel like Dallas Goedert, I looked at the Keep Trade Cut rankings. He's like tight end 18, which I don't completely understand that. I know he's 29 years old. He'll be playing, this will be his year 29 season. But you just go back and look at like some of Goddard's numbers. He was tight end 10. He was tight end 10 in 2021. And that was with Zach Ertz there to start the year. I forget how many games Zach Ertz played in 2021 with the Eagles. I'm just looking it up now. That was with Zach Ertz playing. He played in 6 games that year. Yeah, 6 games, and he was kind of dominating the first 6 games of the season, right? If you look at Dallas Goedert's snap percentage, he was still playing a lot as well. But Zach Ertz was still out there as a tight end. Dallas Goedert in 2021, tight end 10. He was a top 10 tight end. In 2022, he was tight end 12 and he missed 5 games. Tight end 12 and he missed 5 games per game. He was actually tight end 5 in 2022. 2023, he was the tight end 15. He also missed 3 games. If you look at the average in per game, he was about tight end 12 once again. So he's literally been a top 12 tight end, has a top 5 per game season each of the last 3 years since he kind of took over as the tight end 1 for this team. I think he's going to continue to be the tight end 1. He's going to get his in this offense. Hopefully, maybe 1 year he can have like a plus touchdown year because he's never caught more than 5 touchdowns in a season. But hopefully he can give it kind of a plus touchdown year, right? Hopefully he can catch 8 touchdowns. That could happen. Touchdowns are a little volatile, hard to predict. So I don't understand why he's all the way down as tight end 18. I still have him, as a fringe tight end 12, and I have him comfortably in my tier 4 list. Again, this tier are all guys that I think can still put up top 5 seasons at the tight end position. Do I think it's likely? No. Top 5 to 7. Do I think it's likely? Probably not if all these guys stay healthy above him, but there's a chance. There's definitely a chance. And these are the last guys, in my opinion, that I would, even think about putting money on. 2 more guys in tier 5. I have Cole Kmet. Both these guys are talented tight ends who have shown to be just a step above like that generic, as I always say, that generic 60 catch, 600 yard tight end. Cole Kmet last year, 73 catches, over 700 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's above the generic 60 catch, 600 yard tight end. Now, a little bit of an issue because he's in a really crowded offense. So you obviously have, Adunze, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen there. You have a rookie quarterback. I think Kmet, he's going to have to do it through touchdowns, which I think is a chance for him. You just kind of look at like Keenan Allen's never been a huge touchdown guy. DJ Moore's never been a huge touchdown guy, right? So like you don't have necessarily this clear-cut dominant touchdown guy. Maybe Rome Odunze's that. I don't know. Or maybe it's Cole Kmet. I think he's going to have to put up 8+ touchdowns to have like a difference-making tight end season, in my opinion. But he's a talented player on a potentially really talented offense. So I'm gonna put him here in tier 4, along with kind of another player in the same situation is Dalton Schultz. Talented player on a really talented offense. Now it's crowded. You got Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and now Stephon Diggs. But again, Dalton Schultz could get his. I truly believe that, no matter how crowded the receiving room is or whatever, tight ends are going to get theirs. Tight ends are just going to get theirs. They're going to get their 45 to 60 catches. They're 500 to 600 yards, right? Now, can he get a little bit more than that? Can he have a plus touchdown year? That's what I'm hoping for with Dalton Schultz. But again, good, solid players, above average tight ends who are on really good offenses. That's what this tier is. Don't think they can be top 5 guys if everyone stays healthy above them. But I still think they can be top 12 guys. Now we get into a little bit more of the generic guys that maybe have a slight more potential to not be just the generic tight end. Guys like Pat Freiermuth, think he's going to be just that generic tight end, in my opinion. And once again, generic tight end being a 60 catch, 600 yard tight end. We have seen a little bit more from Freiermuth, 2022, 63 catches, 732 yards. Could be potentially the number 2 target on the team. Could be. Probably the number 3, but could be the number 2 target on the team. So I like that. Isaiah Likely, this is more like holding on to him if he, I don't know how good he can be with Mark Andrews healthy. But we can see when Mark Andrews gets hurt that Likely is going to step in and be awesome. And there's a chance that Likely, what is this? His 3rd year, I believe. There's a chance that Likely could get on another team in 2026, which I know is a long time and things like that. But there's a chance. There's also a chance that Baltimore just uses him more as like a weapon, right? Like you have Zay Flowers and who else at the receiving position, at the receiver position for Baltimore. You have Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, Devontae Walker, guys that just haven't proven themselves. So he could kind of be like the de facto third option on this team. And then he has some value. Ben Sinnott. Ben Sinnott is a very intriguing second-round tight end rookie who a lot of people like, is really, really athletic. Goes to Washington, gets paired with Jaden Daniels. I don't know year one how much he's going to do. Zach Ertz is there. But year two and beyond, like this could be like a Trey McBride situation, essentially. Doesn't do much year one, and then year two explodes. So I'll put Ben Sinnott here with, all these guys have some upside to them, in my opinion. And Jatavian Sanders, I'm also putting here a tight end that I thought was the second best pure receiving tight end in the draft. Not great as a blocker, but he goes to a situation with the Panthers. I think they're going to run a style of offense that gets the ball out very quickly, dink and dunk type of offense, and that could really help Jatavian Sanders. He's the clear-cut tight end one, in my opinion, there. And all these guys to me in tier 6 have slight upside to be more than just that generic tight end. And then we have a bunch of other guys who, again, there is slight upside as well, but less than the tier 6 guys. We have the Packers guys in Kraft and Musgrave. They kind of, unfortunately, they consume each other. I don't really see a situation where they use one and not the other one, like one at 80% of the snaps and the other one at like 20%. I think it's going to be more of like maybe like an Andrews Ertz situation Goddard Ertz situation in 2021 with the Eagles, where they're both playing like 60% of the snaps. If I actually had to choose one, I choose Tucker Kraft over Musgrave, which is not what most people would choose, but I think he was better when he took over for Musgrave, just more efficient with his catches. And they used him in the playoff game when Musgrave was healthy. They decided to go with Tucker Kraft. So that's why. A couple more on this list. Chig Okonkwo, a guy I like. I just don't know if he's, we're going on year 3 now. I just don't know if the volume's going to be there. You got Hopkins, you got Ridley, Treylon Burks. Now you got Tyler Boyd. Will Levis is not a guy that's going to throw for 4,500 yards, in my opinion. So I just don't know if the volume's going to be there. Like Chig Okonkwo, but at some point you just got to be, it's just not going to happen. Michael Mayer, I still think is a very talented tight end. Liked him, almost liked him as my tight end 1 last year as like a traditional tight end. Now Brock Bowers is there. Now the situation's going to be, are they going to run an offense that's going to have 2 tight ends flourish? It's possible. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen with a guy like Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers. So still an opportunity there. And then K-Dot in, tight end 1, clear-cut tight end 1 for a team. He had some stretches last year where he was decent. Probably is just going to fall into that generic tight end situation, but he was getting a stretch there where he was getting like 6+ targets a game, which is all you can ask for a tight end. So there you have it. That's my top 24 tight ends broken up into 7 tiers. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, like and subscribe. Help us get to 400. I think we're about 10 away from getting to 400. So appreciate it. Catch you guys in the next video.